let's start by basically introducing ourselves to the audience. Could you tell me a little bit what you do at Quadcode specifically? What are the projects you are working on with the team? So just basically a warm introduction.
I'm Daria Vasileva, Senior Product Manager in Quadcode, and basically my areas of responsibility are anti-fraud, risk management, market making, and compliance.
Rings true to my heart. You know, I've been working in banking and legacy finance for quite a while, and anti-fraud was like a thorn in the side for quite a while. So looking forward to talking to you about this. Can you tell me more about Quadcode as an international multi-brand product company and the primary focus areas, especially? You mentioned Fintech. Any other things that you would like to discuss or highlight, perhaps?
Yeah, actually, overall in Quadcode, we have 6 business units, 7 to be honest. It's like SaaS, trading platform software, which is the most comfortable and user-intuitive platform for trading. Is the IQ, the brokerage itself. Quadcode Markets basically is the business unit which is targeting European and Australian markets with Forex and CFDs trading. Also, we have an educational platform, Sabio Trade. The exchange in the United States, QCEX. Also, we have our own investment fund and neobanking MAs.
That's quite a package, yeah. So it goes all the way from the EdTech side of things to Fintech to SaaS. Quite a vast portfolio. How would you say Quadcode deals with making sure all these projects that go into different industries and different markets align with the company strategy overall?
It's a good question, actually. We have quite an interesting skill, which on the one hand quite easy to understanding, and on the other hand it's quite complex, so that it can be aligned with the overall strategy. So each business unit has its goals and its investment plan. So basically in each business unit we have business owners, product managers who are responsible for driving this project further. Every business unit is operating under their own plans, and they all are responsible for making their businesses profitable. Thus, actually, as we are moving inside the Fintech, it allows us basically to try to touch different areas of Fintech, and at the same time gain the overall main unique strategy.
And so the strategy alignment focuses more on the people in the teams, correct? It takes a special kind of company culture and sort of like the people that you are onboarding to this to the teams, a special kind of environment that will make sure that people work with each other in alignment with the whole company as a business entity. So would you say that company culture is one of the aspects that you have to not conform to, but basically pay serious attention to when building the teams and building the product itself?
Of course, and I can say that it's one of the essential aspects of any profitable company, because overall, what the company is the project. It is the processes, for sure. It's the investment, it's the strategy and goals, but the main part is people who are working. There are all the colleagues you are meeting. In the beginning of the day, it's all of the basically communications you're performing with them. And also it's the way how you onboard new employees and how you work throughout all the time.
Yeah, well, that's as usual. You don't only have to fit the market with your product, you have to fit the people into your teams.
Yeah, actually, oftentimes it happens that some people were hired feel not that comfortable just because not because they corporal problems in the culture or something like that, but sometimes you just have to fit each other, all the things that the employee has to bring to your product. At the same pitch, you as the product manager or as the responsible person in the business, you have to invest in your employees and help them understand their goals and to learn, and also basically to feel valued.
Let's take a step away from the people and focus more on the product then. I see that your Quadcode is catering to brokerage companies and financial institutions with your solutions across the markets, across the globe. And one thing I've heard highlighted about your products is that they are out of the box, so to speak, sort of like plug and play. How do they appeal to your clients? What are your sort of differentiating factors for your products?
The main focus we pay full our attention is to make our product as easy for understanding as possible and as easy to enter as possible. So we have an educational business unit, as I've already mentioned. So basically we educate our traders. We allow them to trade with the very easy to understanding platform. And also, like in the way how you can communicate with your users. So basically, we just try to focus on our users' needs, and we try to erase all the potential problems they may face during the customer journey map in our product.
Okay, so I'd like to hear more about two of the projects that have been highlighted to me by your team. The Australian and European regulated broker and the Quadcode exchange in the US. What are the key challenges that you were faced with while establishing the products, developing them, bringing them to market?
I would say that the main challenge for us was basically the regulatory requirements and to meet their expectations, because always when you meet some regulatory requirements which may be very different on different countries, you have first of all basically to meet all these requirements and to cover all the requests, but also make it the way with minimum effect to our users and with minimum cost for us.
Well, yeah, the GR and compliance are the pain for basically the whole fintech industry. A necessary pain, but the pain nonetheless. Would you say, how do you stay up to date with working in different jurisdictions with different countries and regulators? How do you keep your products compliant? What are the processes that you employ to review and keep them up to date with the regulations?
Well, first of all, of course, we have the whole legal department on board our holding, and we have basically lawyers who are responsible for each region for making us up to date with all the new requirements and to bringing all these updates to the development team so that they could plan some changes in the platform, so on and so forth. But also, as we are working with the different regulations and in different regions, we actually, in the past, we've faced dilemma. What should we do? Either we should hard code all the changes for each regulation and for each region, or we go to the direction at which we create the, let's say, sort of constructor where you can build your user path, all the restrictions, all the notifications you have to mention to a user. And with this, basically, admin panel where you can sort of build the user path inside this or that regulation, it helped us to save a lot of time of development and a lot of time of optimizing to the new requirements.
So is the process of adjusting for new requirements and new regulations sort of removed a little bit from the coding side of things and brought more to the front, to the guys at the front, sort of like a more low-code solution?
Yeah.
Do you have your legal team punch in Trello tickets as well?
Not Trello tickets, but we do have this like ticket system for different types of queries. We have ticket system for support. We have ticket system for another like departments for internal use.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of trolling.
Awesome. I think the guys will cut this part out, but what would I pay to have legal guys just punching tickets every day and doing nothing until they make sure that they are up to spec? Your team, Quadcode is like the biggest entity in your holding. The team size, it's about 350 people, right?
It's in Quadcode Software, which is basically the trading platform, but overall have around 700 people.
That's a lot. How do you manage the roles and expertise within a team of that size?
Well, actually, first of all, we in Quadcode Software, we try to collect all the zone of expertise so that each business unit could come to us and ask for advice, for, let's say, procedures, for some rules of how this or that should be applied. And overall, like, apart from this area of expertise, we also have agile release trains, which in the future, like in the past, they have been converted to the business units or service units. So basically, what we have several business units, we have a couple of service units, and we have software as the core center of expertise. And with that, basically, what we have is one source of truth, which is Quadcode Software rules and instructions. And we have different ways of how you can customize, of how each business unit can customize their platforms and their basically products to the market needs.
That's cool, and especially seen as, correct me if I'm wrong, but Quadcode did start as a single B2C sort of focused entity, now grown to AAU whole holding with 7, you said, different basic businesses. That's quite an operational challenge, not just in terms of growing into new markets, but just basically building the team up to support such a diversified environment. Would you say there were some challenges that you and the team faced during this transformation as a whole?
Speaking about some challenges that we came through, is basically, first of all, was the budgeting thing. Another is like the way how we support all the changes in the code and how we inherit all the best features and ideas from the SaaS. Another challenge was the rapid growth of the amount of employees, and of course compliance difficulties, because we still had to be compliant with all the regulatory requirements.
Yeah, I can only imagine that there was a tremendous amount of sort of legacy code that had to be worked through with new people. Would you say you kept, did Quadcode keep sort of like a core structure of employees that carried through the expertise and the knowledge and the values, and basically you grew around them, or were there more of a sort of lateral movements and replacements within the team?
So for sure, as I mentioned before, we kept some core expertise under SaaS, Quadcode Software, and let's say another business or service units, they had their own employees, their own participants, but who could come anytime to SaaS for some advice, for some master classes, or for some grains of expertise. And also speaking about basically this keeping the expertise in one place, this was one of the things that helped us come through all this transition period, because otherwise actually it quite hard to imagine what could have happened hadn't we done that.
So with the SaaS product being sort of your flagship, would you walk me through the approach you're taking in the enhancement and development of the product as well? Basically, take me from the initial idea to implementation, production, legal overview, just in a layman's terms.
What would I have? Again, speaking about SaaS, where we have some idea, And we have zones or some modules inside SAS. For example, we have a compliance module or a billing module with their own product owners. When these guys have any idea, we also have some brainstorm sessions when we can share these thoughts and when we can ask for an advice or even some investigation process if it compliant with the regulatory requirements, if it meets our goals for the nearest future. So basically, it works we have some brainstorm sessions, then it comes some research, additional research process when we check our ideas and hypotheses with a data-driven approach, whether this or that hypothesis if it moves us toward our goals. And then when we realize that theoretically we can implement this or that feature, it comes the time of legal research when we check if we can do it legal-wise. And after that, if everything is covered and clear and we believe in this hypothesis, we start building MVP, the most basic solution to run A/B tests, or in other ways how we can test our hypothesis. It can be A/B test, it can be some research additional. And after that, if let's say we went with A/B testing and it showed profitability, then we invest into implementing this feature properly so that we didn't that implementation of the feature didn't lead to more legacy code inside our code base. After that, we have acceptance testing when product owners and stakeholders accept what was developed or they say that something has to be changed. Only after that, everything can be released to production to our users.
Stepping back a little bit, I got the evaluation ideas and the compliance evaluation process, but I would like you to tell me a little bit about the way that you decide on which hypotheses to pursue. Sort of like some teams, some products basically operate is in this mindset of let's bring the maximum amount of features to the product. Some tend to be more picky and choosy about what features they think deserve to be implemented in the software. How do you, on which side of the spectrum does the Quadcode model lean?
Throughout the last, let's say, 2-3 years, we were moving from the feature factory, as you have described, we moved from the approach when we were aimed to release as much features as possible, regardless of their feature and the effect on the users, towards the approach which correlates with our core business metrics. So now we have our KPIs and our key metrics at which we want to influence to. And based on this metric, we generate hypotheses which theoretically may help our metrics to grow or to decrease. That helps us to focus only on specific tasks that we want to work on, and don't waste our time on something that won't bring any profit to our company.
You started your introduction by mentioning the anti-fraud portion of your of the product. Would you give me some insight into types of fraudulent behaviors that your solutions encounter, how you deal with them, how are you designing the product to detect and work with those?
First of all, I have to mention that there are various different types of fraudulent behavior. First of all, as we are a regulatory compliant company, we have to, for example, to check user documents. And one type of fraud may be the fraudulent documents, basically, which is something that a user made in the Photoshop or in other image applications. Another type of fraud is trading fraud, when the user are trading the insights when, for example, someone is working in the huge bank and they know that at this specific time, this bank will be selling or buying, let's say, currency, which for sure will move the market. So this user is trading on the inside information, or they are selling this inside information which is used by another users. So we detect this type of frauds. And also we have an anti-money laundering department, which helps us combat some, let's say, drastic way of abuse of when the user try to launder the money to basically, it's completely illegal stuff.
What are the methods you're using to detect and deal with such types of fraudulent behaviors? Is it more like the retro style of a person sitting and looking through papers and documents, or do you employ any other technologies and methods to detect those?
Actually, like first of all, in terms of detecting, checking documents, we are in partnership with another companies who help us to cover this question. In terms of anti-fraud and anti-money laundering, we have 3 different approaches. Starting with some heuristics, which is basically kind of rule like A plus B equals C. Very easy example of which is detecting bad duplicates. So when we understand that if a user logs in with the device which have already been used by a blocked user, especially with the user who was blocked with the reason of fraud, it means that these 2 accounts belong to one real person. Or when we're talking about basically situation when a user tries to verify their documents and these documents have been detected in another account. So it's heuristics. Another approach, the second, let's say, layer of anti-fraud systems is statistic and mathematical modules and rules. It's more of sort of supervised machine learning models. When you first of all tag or label specific parameters, and with that pre-labeled mechanism, you teach your model how to detect the same activity. And the very easy example of supervised machine learning is captcha. For sure, everyone have at least one has this captcha when you are, for example, asked to detect all the cats on the picture, on the words of picture. So that is how you label something. And this labeling information in the future, for example, Google may use to learn their self-driving cars or something like that. And the third step, which we are trying to move towards, is unsupervised machine learning, when you don't have to have this pre-tagged or pre-labeled data set. You just write the neural network, which is detecting some untypical behavior by itself, and it checks itself again. But it requires a lot of, let's say, iron, a lot of resources, and not all companies need to go toward this direction. And for example, for some companies, just heuristics may be more than enough.
It's interesting because it looks like issues such as insider trading and stuff like this would be a prime field for a neural network-based approach in classification and detection.
Sure.
Could you maybe share some direct and specific example of some incident, say, that your software helped detect and avert?
Well, actually, as you mentioned, we have been able to prevent some inside trading, or let's say we had some issue with the feed when the feed was a little bit slower from one feed provider. It was a little bit slower. And while we were mixing it, we got some, let's say, bad feed. And having the detection of this, having the evaluation of what the good feed is and how we can detect that something went wrong, we were able to prevent some incidents related to this area, for example.
When working with fraud and fraudulent behaviors, it's obviously sort of an arms race between the people trying to exploit the system and people trying to prevent those. So I heard about a specific system or team that is set up to work with agile releases in the anti-fraud area. Could you elaborate a little bit? Tell me about this team.
And I have to mention that you cannot fight fraud once and for all. It's like the endless battle. A couple of years ago, we had a huge spike in the fraudulent activity. And with that, we decided to use Safe Agile framework and create the Agile Release Train, which is basically kind of service unit with our own product manager, Scrum Master, architect, and teams of developers and QA engineers. And these guys are our train is self-sufficient, which means that we can create our own anti-fraud solution. Anti-fraud department and anti-fraud train works exactly as another business unit. We have our metrics and goals. We brainstorm the ideas of how we can combat the fraud and how we can meet our target metrics. And we implement different features in order to check if our and also we perform different A/B tests and different experiments, because it's very important. I have to mention that it's very important in terms of anti-fraud to test the instrument that you've built in order not to block all the users on the platform. For example, you can create the most brilliant neural network which detects all the fraudsters on the platform, and this brilliant, let's say, AI tells you just to block everyone. That is the 100% with 100% accuracy. You will definitely combat every fraud.
That's the solution.
Yes, but it's not what we want. Obviously, we don't want to stop our trading business and block all our users while we implement every rule or every model. First of all, it passes silent test. So basically, we just mark users or the trades, the orders or the withdrawals and deposits with specific label. And then we check manually all the marks that were made by each rule or by each module. Only after this rule or model have been proven that it works and that it works properly with the good precision and recall, we start applying some restriction actions or some actions to our real users. And sometimes within certain period of time, we stop this rule and recheck it again in terms of realizing that is it still valuable to keep this rule on or this model on, or we should rethink it.
So it's a quick and rapid, but still an iterative and careful process, right?
Sure.
So basically, you do have your sort of special forces of people that are focused on doing things quick and efficiently, but also not indiscriminately banhammering everybody on the platform.
And additionally, we have a team of analysts whose work is basically to be focused on fighting new types of fraud and on building new models of how we can combat it.
At what speed, at what rate is your team growing in terms of sort of the employee count? Are you hiring 10, 50, 100 people per year, sort of a ballpark?
In some areas, we have fast growing, like for example, in client applications, because we need to adjust some parameters rapidly. In some areas, we have with teams who have been working together for years, and it's very good because people know each other, they know how to work aligned, and they have the, let's say, one mind shared with each other. Speaking about the amount of employees, it was more or less the same throughout the couple years. I mean, some people were going, some people were coming to us. So yeah, it was, I would say, more or less the same.
It would make sense that if you're talking, for example, about anti-fraud and compliance and regulatory issues, that you would be more sort of intensive and focused on pestering the team as a whole to keep the expertise rather than growing extensively.
Yes.
But can you share some things that you did to make the onboarding for those sensitive teams, for new players and new team members, a bit easier? How do you basically make sure that the people slot into the team, not just operationally and in terms of the use of tools and services and standards of operations, but also as culturally, and start taking on this expertise that you have inside of your team and have had for such a long time?
First of all, we have the some onboarding process, which includes educational period. For example, for a period of, let's say, 5 working days, our new employees are being tutored with different pieces of information about our holding, about specific department this person is in. And thus, basically, our newcomers have basic understanding of what's going on around. And usually it happens during their first week on board. After this ends, most of the employees have their own mentors. Inside the team, they are on some teams, it can be team leader. In some teams, it can be product manager, or even developers or QA engineers who are interested in being mentors. And this usually, this newcomer, new employee have meetings, one-to-one meetings with the mentor, either every day or several times per week. And this mentor explains to the new employee all the processes, answers all the questions. In addition, of course, we have some rule book for the new employees who just joined our team. What channels to write if you need this or that, or what rules to request, and who you can address some questions to. Long story short, our onboarding process consists of these three main aspects: learning, like some period of learning overall about what happened in our company. Then mentoring part, and some documentation that our new colleagues can face and check.
To start and wrapping this thing up, what would you say? Can you tell me a little bit about how you see Quadcode evolving in the future? What are the new areas of projects or markets that you believe the company is going to be expanding into over the course of the next few years or quarters or decades?
Well, actually, for now, our primary focus is to make sure that each of 7 our business units are profitable. And of course, we are strongly believe in US market. We're strongly believe in the European and Australian market, and SaaS software company overall to be able to provide our platform to different B2B brands. So yeah, the main focus is to make sure that we are reaching our goal of being self-sufficient and to provide to be profitable. And of course, once we reach it, and we'll start expanding even further.
Okay, and so to summarize, I have a question for you. With AI and neural networks, sort of mathematical models, language models being all the rage today, I would like to ask you a question. With your experience in Fintech, knowing the sector's all underlying issues, quirks, how would you say Fintech is going to be leading or lagging back behind adopting AI on a large scale?
I believe that we don't have this privilege to not to implement it in our businesses. Because for sure, if AI and all these text models and computer vision models, so on and so forth, they are evolving. They allow different companies not only to save money, but to involve users and even further and deeper into their product. And additionally, it helps in retention to keep users. So I believe that Fintech will be implementing all these and implementing inside different businesses these models quite rapidly.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I've enjoyed it immensely. And I hope to see you again soon.
Thank you.